Yo, 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 mi gente. Subriel Matias has an insane vertical leap, bro. Crazy. This dude is different. This motherfucker is superhuman or something, bro. He gotta be superhuman. I ain't never seen no shit like this, bro. And I think a lot of us missed this. Nobody really caught this. You don't catch it until you press actual pause. Like, you gotta pause it. And then you're like, holy shit, wait, hold on. Did he really just jump this high? You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker jumping over fences like nothing, right? I could show you better than I could tell you. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, it started all from, it was a video he posted on Instagram. He's just jogging, showcasing some of his training and whatnot. And he's at the beach chair, just something regular, not too crazy, you know what I'm saying? Just showing, updating us that he's staying ready. And then it comes to here. And when you're watching it regular, you're like, okay, this, you know what I'm saying? It's not that serious, right? But when you pause it, you start to understand like this motherfucker can really jump. He's clearing the hell out of these joints, bro. Bro, that's insane. That's insane. Now I understand, the vertical leaps is more on some, your legs got to be straight once they hit the air to accurately judge how high your vertical is. But regardless, this is crazy. You can only imagine, his vertical leap is up there, bro. Look how high he's clearing that. They need to give him, some bigger motherfucking, whatever those joints is. They need to size it up a bit. Pause. But yeah, bro, it's insane, bro. Let's keep going. Let's see. Let's go back real quick. Yeah, bro. A lot of people miss this, but I catch the details. A lot of people try to sleep on me for how I do my analyst work and whatnot. But I really dig into details with the fighters that I enjoy watching. People could call you biased. Everybody's biased. Everybody's in their mama is biased. So if you want to call me biased, cool. But I'm biased with validation. Do you see what I'm saying? That's the difference. Some people are biased just because they just want to like a fighter just because of a specific reason. But I don't enjoy every fighter that you may think I do. Just because a fighter may be Puerto Rican don't mean I like him. Just because a fighter, fucking comes from my same city doesn't mean I like him. You know what I'm saying? But if they do, it is a plus. Don't get me wrong, because that's just something to be proud about. You know what I'm saying? It's just something to be prideful about. But I'm not just gonna, hop on the bandwagon unless there's some type of validation there. There's a reason. And Subriel Matias gives you a lot of reasons why you should be supporting him. Not just because he's Puerto Rican. If Subriel Matias was another fighter from a different country, I will still be promoting him just as much as I am now. Just as much. And I'll give him criticism too, like I have before. There's not, Subriel Matias is a one of a kind fighter. He kind of it's kind of like Mayorga. If y'all remember Mayorga was a fighter that you know got overlooked a lot as a fighter because of his awkward fighting style. And he was very controversial outside the ring, smokes a lot, but he was pretty impressive beating being a world champion. He beat fighters that beat some real top level fighters, and he got it done by KO in spectacular fashion. And sometimes we overlook it because of some of the things that the way he fights and presents himself and whatnot. So Subriel Matias kind of has that same effect where people just sleep on how good he actually boxes because of the awkward style that he has. And sometimes we even overlook his athleticism. When we see things like this, it's almost like, wow, I don't think a lot of your favorite fighters could jump as high as this shit. You know what I'm saying? Now, we all know boxing is not about jumping, but it has a lot to do with your legs. So the fact that he could utilize his legs and spring to that height shows that you could count on him to have some decent footwork, as he showcased in his last fight. I had an individual tell me like, yo, why you keep bringing up reach when we talk about Subriel versus Puello? And I'm gonna tell you why. Because he says, oh, he never utilizes his reach. He's an inside fighter. What you guys don't understand is you don't analyze the people that are saying this. It's only one person, actually. Nobody is one delusional person. But I figured I'll give you some of my attention for right now, just so I could break it down the best I could for anybody else who does feel that way. Subriel Matias has three ways. He has three steps on finishing his opponents, right? The first step is him stripping you of your energy, right? So now he wants to strip you of your energy. He wants to get you worn out. He wants to get you busy. So during this process, Subriel Matias is not looking to use his reach so much because he doesn't want to overcommit to get himself caught with something. So he's going to focus on putting enough pressure and aggressiveness to try to get on the inside to land some of those awkward punches that he does, and see how he could wear out his fighters and keep his opponent busy as well to wear him down. So that's the first step. Strip him of his energy. Part two, the second step is strip him of his pride, right? After you get him worn out, after he does the first step and he accomplishes that first step and he gets his opponent worn out, the second step is to strip him of his pride. And how does he do that? He does that by utilizing your game plan that you had against him, and he does it to you. Because now he could showcase boxing skills while you're worn out. Do you see what I'm saying? He wears you out. You could start as the better boxer, but then you start noticing that Subriel Matias becomes the better boxer mid round, mid fight, or towards the end of the fight, because you're worn out. You're not able to react and respond as fast as you did when the fight first started. So now he's able to put the more pressure on you, and now he's able to utilize his reach as he done in his last fight. Rewatch the Gonzalez fight. A lot of you guys getting your emotions and your feelings in the comment section. I don't really entertain y'all. That's like real feminine type of energy. But what I'm saying is, if you look at the fight with him against Gonzalez, he utilized his reach to actually get the finish, right? He utilized his reach to get the finish. Why? Because that was the plan to do so. That was a good way to do so. That was the smartest way to do so. So in other words, to start again, he starts by stripping you of your energy. Then he strips you of your pride by utilizing your own game plan against you because you thought you could outbox him. Now it starts to look like he's outboxing you by landing more and making you miss. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is about, right? Hit, not get hit. That's boxing to me. No matter how awkward it may look, that's boxing to me. But the more impressive thing about it is that during that second step, Subriel Matias is utilizing great footwork, and he has done this lateral movement, head movement, making his opponent miss while landing simultaneously. He did this against Gonzalez. You could go back and watch the fight. The third step is stripping you of your soul. So after he stripped you of your energy, and then he stripped you of your pride, now you're starting to realize as his opponent that it's not you can no longer, you're insecure now because you're getting beat by a person in the fashion that you thought you was going to beat him in, right? So now you're just on survival mode. So the third step is stripping of your pride, which causes the opponent to be on survival mode before Subriel Matias strips you of your soul, which overall is to end that fight. And that's just to clarify for those in the comment section that don't quite understand how Subriel Matias utilizes his reach. He doesn't utilize his reach like someone like Puello would. Puello comes in, he's going to utilize it off the rip with his boxing abilities because that's his style. His style is to utilize his reach. He's a boxer first. So he's going to utilize every tool to get that advantage immediately. But when it comes to Subriel Matias, his game plan is different. It's not to utilize his reach right away. It's to make you utilize every tool in your tool set first. Subriel Matias comes into the fight making sure that you're able to giving you the opportunity to utilize all of your tool sets first. Utilize your reach, control the distance, do whatever you can. He wants you to use your whole game plan. He's doing his best for you to deliver your game plan in one round. So when it doesn't work, you start to become more and more inconfident. You start to be less confident every round that moves on, knowing that you're like, damn, I'm getting some type of success, but I'm not getting the job done. So how am I gonna if I gave him my hardest in the first round? My punches are getting less powerful as the fight goes on. My energy is getting, less. I'm getting less energetic as the fight goes on. If I wasn't able to get him out of there when I was the most, when I had the most energy and I was able to have the most power and I was able to control the distance the best, I'm not gonna be able to do it in this fifth, sixth round right now. And that's when they start becoming more discouraged. And then you see how the fight turns out when it comes to Subriel Matias. The only time that Subriel Matias wasn't able to, make this effective was when when he had his two losses, right? When he fought Leon Pero, like I always mention, people forget that he had two fights after Leon Pero. People think that Subriel Matias' last fight was against Leon Pero. So they always resort back to, and that's why I know y'all casuals, because y'all go immediately back to a fight that was before his recent fight. Boxing is about what you done as of recent. It's not about what happened a few years ago. You know what I'm saying? If that was the case, Adrian Broner will still be the man right now in boxing. Because a few years ago he was the man. But you've seen how the direction of his career went. A lot of it took place outside of the ring that prevented the best performances out of him inside the ring. So shout out to Adrian Broner. There's no shout at him because I'm a fan of when he's focused, right? But in this situation, the example I'm trying to make is that when he fought Leon Pero, that's not the best example to use because that wasn't recent. We have to go according to what happened recently. And recently, in Subriel Matias' last two fights, he won spectacular fashion. One was in the second round. The other one was, I believe, the seventh round, which should have been done in the fourth. But that Mexican was a true warrior right there. His opponent, Gonzalez, was a true warrior. Shout out to him. That being said, man, we got also, there's other fighters that try to hold on to stuff that happened in other divisions and think that it's relevant in their new division. And you see it, look at Teofimo Lopez. Shout out to Teofimo Lopez, but he's not getting his way right now with the fights that he's trying to get because he believes what he's done at 135 is enough, or and even at 140 is enough to get him big fights at 147. That's not always the case. It happens like that sometimes. Like Bud Crawford was able to do certain things like that, but it's not always guaranteed because it's about what have you done as of recent. With Bud Crawford, the way he finished Earl Spence was crazy. So for him to fight for a title at 154 right after was a good idea for most promoters, right? A good idea for the sanctioning bodies to accept. Like, it was good. It was a good idea because they knew he had a lot of momentum at that moment. Teofimo Lopez didn't have much momentum after Claggett. The Barboza fight wasn't the best, showcase of his skills, right? And obviously the way he carries himself outside the ring. But that being said, moving on, a lot of you guys might watch boxing and you're so caught up with how it looks. You're so caught up with the traditional way of doing things. And shout out to the traditional ways of doing things, right? Just, that clean 1-2, the defense and all that. That's fire. That's dope. But you cannot sleep on the awkward fighters. You know what I'm saying? That are more decorated, that show different styles, but still, bring in that defense in their own way. We seen, look at like Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier came in doing, you know what I'm saying? Like George Foreman. They had different type of defense than when we first seen it. We're like, what the hell is this? Right? That's no different from Subriel Matias. And Subriel Matias is knocking every single body out that he beats. Like I mentioned, we can't use Leon Pero as an example because that wasn't as recent. And even if you did use Leon Pero as an example, you gotta understand that it's someone like Puello is a different type of fighter. They don't have they styles are similar, but it's the game plan. What is the game plan? Like I mentioned, the only way to really beat Subriel Matias is kind of like how Leon Pero did. But Leon Pero, I don't care what y'all say, he got lucky with that victory. Because had there been a strict referee in there, he probably would have got disqualified for the excessive headbutt and clinching he was doing in that fight. He low blowed. He was doing a lot. He was pushing. There was a lot of illegal tactics Leon Peril was doing that eventually he did get 1 point deducted, but that was later in the fight, and he was doing this damn near the whole fight. So if it was a more strict referee, he could have definitely, even back at rabbit punches, it was crazy. He definitely should have got disqualified in that fight, which I wouldn't want a fight to end like that. But safety comes first. At the end of the day, if you're not willing to fight and box and not dirty box to get the victory, then you shouldn't be granted a victory when your main, game plan was to fight dirty. Other than that, if Puello, that's a risk for Puello. Puello just can't come into this with a game plan to fight dirty, because if he's not able to get away with it, like Leon Peril was getting away with it, then he's gonna end up getting disqualified. Not every, how would I say? Not every ref, not every, commission, not everybody's gonna let you slide when it comes to that. It's a risk to fight like that. But we've seen when you don't do that, when you don't use illegal tactics, what happens to Subriel Matias' opponents. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. Make sure to hit that like button. We out. Toma!